Hey, Danny here again with another episode of Positive Playtime. Today I'm chatting with Steve Mann, who is a very busy man. He has over 30 years professional dog training experience, is the founder of the Institute of Modern Dog Trainers, and is the author of the best-selling book Easy Peasy Puppy Squeezy. He also has a successful podcast for dog lovers with Scott Mills called Pup Dates and a course available via BBC Maestro. Today he's here to share the behind-the-scenes truth about life as a dog trainer. Let the entertaining stories begin. Hey Steve, how are you?
Good as gold, thanks Danny. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, all good. So thank you for joining us today. I know you've been very busy writing your 10th book, which we got wrong when we on our first bit of research that we did. So that's quite heavy going, really. This one's a little bit different to your previous ones. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the previous 9 were about what we can teach dogs.
Yes.
You know, that's the way the majority of the traffic. I try to emphasize all the time that it's a symbiotic relationship and, you know, mutually benefit and all the rest of it. But the reason most people will buy a book or a puppy book is, how can I get my dog to do this, or how can I stop my dog to do this? And that's fine, and that's understandable. And thank God there's people out there that want to buy those books. Otherwise, I'd have to get a real job. And then this 10th book,
yeah,
you know what I was calling last week my final book, but now the duties have started going again. I think it's the weather. I think when it's summer, it's cool. I've got a million things to do. When it gets autumny, I think, I could put on an Aaron jumper and start writing again. I think it's the smell of the leaves or something. I don't know. But this book is it turns the table somewhat, and it reflects on what dogs have taught me. So over the 30 plus years that I've been working with dogs, and then some living with dogs. But the dogs in my life, whether they were dogs that I lived with, whether they were dogs that I've trained, and of course those ripples go out to the people that I've worked with and trained. And dogs are interesting, people are interesting. They've all, you know, there's lots and lots of stories and anecdotes there, and there really is a lot of life lessons. I'm guaranteed for me there was a lot of life lessons. I think it will resonate, and it does resonate with a lot of people and readers, whether they have a dog or not. And for me personally, it was, although some people will struggle to believe this, but I'm not great at talking about myself, kind of instantly, straight down the barrel. But I think using dogs as conduits and using the dogs to reflect from, I found it much more comfortable and probably when I'm saying things about particular dogs, I'm probably saying very, very similar about myself.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing as well, actually. You know, there's you can learn a lot of lessons. Well, I definitely am working with other people, dealing with people, and you can probably then definitely translate that into what you're doing in your dog training. And actually that helps you become a better dog trainer, I guess, really, because you understand people and their motivations behind why they got a dog in the first place and what they want to achieve with that dog.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what people want, I think what people come to me as a dog trainer, let's say, with a list of what they want, it isn't always what they need. And yes. I think my job is, you know, we start off with a Venn diagram, and they'll have their long list of what they want, and that's in a circle here. And while I'm doing a consultation, I'm starting to make my own little list of actually what you need is here. And I guess really I need to push them together, find that little bit of sweet spot on that Venn diagram and work on that. So I'm happy. So they're happy. And so the dog is happy. And I think over time, if we can build a relationship, not only with the dog, but with the owners, I think that sweet spot of the Venn diagram gets bigger and bigger, and the peripheral stuff hopefully gets narrower and narrower. Yeah. And what we find, I think people... Sorry, Danny, go on, mate.
I was just saying, I think people then obviously adapt as well to what they had envisaged that their life was going to be like with a dog. They can then adapt to that by kind of can adapt to it.
Yeah, and really, when you meet new owners, they have an extensive list of what they want, and the more training we do, it's not so much that list gets shorter because we're ticking off all of those training requirements. They're starting to realise, do you know what? I don't actually need. I only need 2 or 3.
Yes.
Kind of found I need my dog to like being around me.
Yes.
You know, I need to learn how to play with my dog, so my dog likes even more being around me. And then a few kind of safety fundamentals, like our loose lead walking, like our recall, and all the rest of it. But just being happy in each other's company probably bypasses 90% of potential problems anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that you've got 30 years of dog training experience under your belt, and you've also schooled thousands of dog trainers through the IMDT.
Yeah.
So there probably isn't much you haven't seen. But what surprised you most in your decades of training?
In my decade of training.
Hopefully I didn't say that.
no. But here we go. I think I'm constantly surprised. I'm constantly in awe of dogs and of owners and of dog trainers. I think what surprises me, I think, still is us humans still get our knickers in a twist more so on what the dog does as opposed to what the dog feels. And I will always. I think probably I've matured and evolved somewhat. That when I first started training, how can I get the dog to do this? Everything was measured on what the dog does.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, and I guess as a byproduct it did, but I never really addressed head on how does the dog feel at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely putting the cart before the horse if we're worried about what the dog does more so than what the dog feels. Because if the dog feels safe and optimistic and happy, getting the dog to do stuff is a piece of cake. So we need to address that first. That's the foundation. If the dog doesn't feel safe, the dog feels pessimistic, and the dog doesn't trust you, and the relationship isn't there, getting the dog to do X, Y, and Z behaviour, is extremely difficult, but also futile because if it ever gets on top, survival is always going to trump obedience anyway. So relationship, learning to spend time with each other is far more important than what the dog does. As is a big lesson to learn and accept as well, I think.
Definitely, and I think that a lot of people are guilty of humanizing dog behavior. Actually, kind of trying to like I hear a lot, like my dog's jealous or this or that type of thing. And actually, it's really difficult. Once you've understood that it's not always you can't do that. It's easier to understand and then live with your dog or learn to live alongside them. Definitely.
Yeah. I agree. Although I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, really, because we're humans. We get humans, and I think sometimes if being a bit anthropomorphic helps get that empathy, so we're up and running. It's certainly a tool that I would use in my training. And if the owner is going down the route, as you say, maybe incorrectly, of the dog is jealous or whatever, we'll just get a bit more empirical. Okay, well, what is your dog doing? Do you want your dog to do more of it or less of it? Bring it right the way back to the first foundations. Because I think, again, early on in a career, if someone said something like that about jealousy or something or hierarchy or whatever, I'd be so insecure that I'd address it immediately. Oh no, you're wrong because and science says blah, 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 blah. And all that happen is I'll never see them again, and they'll go to another dog trainer that's maybe a little bit more canny in their sales or does believe what they believe or whatever. But either way, the dog doesn't benefit. So I fight so fewer battles now than I ever used to. I'm happier.
I suppose I think that's finding the happy medium, isn't it, between being the not necessarily the truth, but the sciencey kind of stuff versus how you can put that in a way that is more understandable for people.
Yeah, the answer and the solution is always in the middle. Whether it's politics or dog training, the answer is always in the middle.
I guess
the trouble is we need to be a red team or a blue team, and that's extremely restrictive and unimaginative and silly.
Yeah. So you'll have worked with many different breeds. Are there any breed myths or surprising experiences that change the way you think?
Not many, because I was that kid that used to go to dog training school and sit on the edges, and if the dog trainer says you must always, you must never, I'd go out and do if they said you must always leave your dog on your right foot if you're doing a stay, or always go with your left foot. You must always do a send away to the edge of the field, or I'd go and do a send away to the middle of the field to find out what happens, or I'd do a stay and I'd go with my left foot, or I'd do heel work and see what happens. And so much of it was just built on this indoctrination of a cascade of, that's how their dog trainer spoke to them, and that's how their dog trainer, and no one really questioned it. So the thing about certain breeds, this breed could never, this breed must always. Of course, there's going to be specialists in certain activities. But for instance, in fact, I was teaching tracking all of last week, and I love teaching tracking. It's my favourite thing to do, and it's the dogs that I work and live with. It's the favourite thing for them to do as well. But on that tracking course, we had several dogs and owners. One was a wolf hybrid, and one was a Samoyed. And back in the day, my heart would have sank on day one when I knew it was those kind of breeds, because they're not, let's say, they're not famous for getting their nose down and ignoring the rest of the environment around them. But they smashed it, and they smashed it because we found out what that Samoyed liked. And we worked with the dog, and we worked with the breed specific behaviours, not only on what the books say, but what that individual dog, we train the dog in front of you and all that. So, I think any breed can do anything to the best of that breed's ability. There's always that potential, and teach a fish to climb a tree and all that. So I play the cards you're dealt. Work with the dog in front of you, and if someone wants to book a one-to-one with me to teach their Italian greyhounds how to track, I'm there. I'm all for it.
I think that it's about what It's easy to pigeonhole different breeds or different things, but actually it's a case of what that actual individual dog likes doing, because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's about how you can enjoy that relationship between you and your dog. And if you want to try something, I mean, my mum, for example, she is mad on agility. She loves agility, and she had collies most of my adult life. She's had collies, and she wanted to try something a bit different. So she got a Belgian Shepherd. I can never say this word, Turban. I think that's right.
Turban,
and she. This dog, Halo, she is not interested in agility, but my mum keeps going. She keeps trying, because actually, Halo, the dog, she's definitely enjoys doing it, but she's never going to win any competitions. Let's put it that way. But it's just and here's how to lose half of your listeners straight away. But the thing is, Danny, whether you win or not, no one cares. The dog doesn't even care. And you can buy a rosette for about 75 pence. If someone's that desperate, I'll do your rosette and post it to you. So it's never going to be about rosettes. It's never going to be about winning or losing. We have dogs. Of course, we have dogs to complement our lives, and hopefully, hopefully we can complement their lives. But if someone ever gets a dog because they want to win something, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water before you've even sorted toilet training. But this is why dogs are amazing. And this is why dogs are so much easier to teach than humans, because they don't have the ego. They don't have the ego, and they don't have the pride. So take ego out, and we're almost as good as dogs. We're almost as good as dogs without ego, but the trouble is, ego is kind of omnipresent, and it's a hard demon to battle, and that's why you get so much stress at agility competitions and dog competitions, all the rest of it. And if you take a step back and fast forward 50 years and look down from an airship down onto the event, you'll realise no one cares. And I think that's really, really key point you just made. The dog doesn't know whether it won or lost, or if the dog's having fun, then that's all that they're interested in. Really. Okay, so what do you know now about dogs that would have surprised your younger self? I think we kind of almost touched on this a little bit.
I'll talk all day, Danny. I'll always find an answer. So I think when I was younger, and even still recently, I still hear it a lot, and it sends a little bit of a shudder. But there tends to be a stock phrase from dog trainers, and that's always dogs need more mental and physical stimulation. Need more stimulation, more stimulation, more stimulation. And honestly, in more often than not, I don't think they do. I think they need a release. So all of that arousal and what's pumped in, and just in the way that they're bred to approach life, I think more often than not, the solution's to be found in the tap that you turn to release that arousal, as opposed to pumping it in. And I know as dog trainers, because this is our algorithm, so we know what we mean. But the person in the street doesn't know what we mean. And I used to teach animal husbandry and behaviour at college, and we addressed this mental, physical stimulation. And I literally sent the students out onto the street with clipboards to stop people and ask, what does mental stimulation mean to you? Because they're owners, what does it mean? And stimulation, even look it up in the dictionary. Stimulation means arousal, adrenaline, heightened state. I don't think we should be telling owners to go away and put more arousal and put their dogs in a heightened state, because of this adrenaline, there's a half-life. And once you do it, it takes time to dissipate. And that's when we get the dog with all of this pent-upness and nowhere to put it. Now, of course, appropriate play, the toys that you guys produce. Every day I work with my dogs with Tug-E-Nuff toys. But I taper up and I taper down. And part of that taper down is appreciating the stimulation that's there. Now, how can I release it? And I think a big thing that I've learned, and a big thing that I've changed, is I just get really excited and turned on by, we can get your dog to do this and this and this and this. And I sort of just throw exercises at people because of my insecurity. I'm like, please like me, I know this. Please keep coming. And I think I'm a better trainer if I can teach someone to sit underneath a tree for 30 minutes with their dog doing nothing, than if I can teach them to do heel work for 30 minutes. It's, I think what's changed is, I'm much better if I can teach owners to pay their dog by the hour rather than the mileage. It's not about doing more, not about physically doing more and more. It's about doing less and less comfortably and happily with each other. That's a real skill. And I think that's the same with relationships, in whether it's human and human or interspecies relationships. So yeah, sitting under a tree is probably the pinnacle of a skill that I can teach owners.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the things that I haven't. One of my dogs is very highly strung, and I've not taught him how to settle, if that makes sense. So actually being able to just be okay in the world, and it's okay not to be constantly on alert or constantly looking for the next dog coming around the corner. Or so I think it's something that really I didn't definitely
and
teach.
You'll get there if you practice it, but the trouble is, forget about the dog. You need to learn to practice it yourself.
Yeah.
And as indeed I do, and it's a discipline. It's not a stopping of a discipline. It's not the absence of a discipline. It's probably the ultimate discipline. I'd beg anyone that's watching, listening to this, is close your laptop, turn off your phone, and literally go and sit underneath a tree. Do nothing. It's so much harder than it sounds.
It definitely is, and I think obviously everybody's lives are busy. It's always constantly on the go, and dogs. Your pet dog picks up on that definitely, and that again doesn't necessarily
And I think that's one of the things actually, with you asking the question, what's changed from when I was a dog trainer younger to when I am now, relatively young but not as young, is busy. I think busy was good. Keep your dog busy. Oh, keep your dog busy. Keep yourself busy. From working and building your business. Busy's good, isn't it? It's not. Busy's crap. Busy's rubbish. Busy is going in lots of different directions, and just do one direction. And then pace doesn't matter if you're constantly going in one direction. But if you're fizzing about, busy, that's the biggest trick we've all fallen for. That busy is good. Someone says, "Oh, how you doing? Are you busy?" "Yeah, I'm really busy." "Oh, that's good, isn't it?" "No, it's crap."
It's true, actually. It is. I always think that's the right answer. It probably isn't the right answer.
Because as soon as we say we're busy, the next person will say, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah.
And it isn't. Busy busy's cowardly. It stops you. It stops you stopping and thinking and reflecting. And just try and go in one direction is my advice. Because and that took me far too long to learn, as opposed to trying to go in several directions at the same time.
I think I have to leave out of that book at the moment. So a bit of a loaded question, this one. So what in your eyes, what makes a good dog trainer?
So I think a passion for it, because you do have to get up on a Sunday morning and go out in the rain. And you not only do you need to do it, but you need to love it the majority of the time. And it's fine to go through. Sometimes you have to bite down and you have to do it, and you have to. But that's life. I think of course, you need empathy. I think it's important to have maybe the humility to do an audit on yourself every 6 months. And if everything, when you do that audit on yourself, on your knowledge, on your skills, on your lesson plans, when you do that audit, if you don't shudder, "Oh my God, I did it like that 6 months ago, I need to change it." If you're not doing that, then you need to double down on your education and your research and all the rest of it, because you should be ever evolving. You should be ever evolving. And that doesn't mean add more to your toolbox. I'm all for people removing stuff from their toolbox so you get the real pure effective exercises. But I think do regular audits on yourself. I guess
that kind of helps you stay relevant as well, doesn't it? Really, it
just makes you improve. And if you're in a job and you don't want to improve, then you might as well just go and work in a factory and do piecework and stuff envelopes, because that's easier and it's dry. I also think, as much as I think it's really important to have a passion and it is a calling, but I really think it's important to have other interests as well, because being obsessive is quite boring for other people around you, and that's important. I would shout out dog training lessons in my sleep, and I'm not even kidding. Just constantly, and I'll get out of bed and, "Why did that dog do that and that?" And I'll look at the video and it's fine for the job and for your individual evolution as a trainer, but everything else will start crumbling because you just become a weirdo, boring person. And I was that soldier. I also think if you want to be successful as a dog trainer, first and foremost, be a good dog trainer. Put for your first decade, put all your efforts in. How can I be a better dog trainer? And there are some necessary evils of sales and marketing and accountancy and all of these other hats and socials and all the rest of it, but not as much as I see people that are quite new to dog training investing their time in that. They're investing their time on the packaging more than what's the content and the product. And I think if you're a really good dog trainer, you'll get there word of mouth and through your results and through your feedback and that kind of thing. I also I see people that have been dog training for a couple of years and then they start some kind of mentorship and taking on other dog trainers, and that dilution is wrong. You're shortchanging those people that are joining your mentorship. you're shortchanging the dogs, you're shortchanging the owners, and I just think be the best dog trainer that you can be, and the rest generally will look after itself. It will.
I think, you know, from my experience of business, do the things that you're good at and get other people to do the stuff that you're not at, you know, because actually you can if you spread yourself too thin, you're right, you're not going to give your all to the thing that people are coming to you for. You know, it's going to be
it's true. I think, you know, much like doing a consultation for a dog and an owner, I think, you know, the big questions that we need to satisfy first. Look after yourself through, you know, do exercise, sleep well, eat well. If you're not even doing those three things, you're never going to be as good a dog trainer as you could possibly be. And I think sometimes we can worry about going into the thinner air and the minutiae of marketing and this, that, and the other. But you're eating a pot noodle and sleeping 4 hours a night. You know, forget about it. So yeah, look after the foundations, and as you say, the other things that you're not skilled at, and you'll never be skilled enough at compared to someone else. Give it to someone else.
I think that's really it's a key. I'm quite guilty of trying to do everything, but actually, you know, you don't do a very good job.
Yeah, and it's a false, you don't do a good job, but also it's a false economy, because you'll spend 5 hours to do the job, and someone else an expert will do it in 2 hours.
Yeah,
and you'd be better doing 5 1-to-1s to pay that expert.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything else? You'd like to? I had another question, but actually, to be honest, we just answered that question there. It's about what tips you would share with people aspiring to be a dog trainer. But I think we've definitely answered that. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we move on to plug in the book?
No, nothing in particular. I think I think if I'm talking to owners, you know, spend a solid 30 minutes doing nothing with your dog every day. If I'm talking to dog trainers, my advice would be forget about what every other dog trainer on the planet is doing. It's none of your business. Don't waste your time. And then other than that, no, just enjoy your dogs, man.
Brilliant. And it's, you know, that's, you know, you've got to think about the reason why you got a dog as well. Do you know what I mean? It is about enjoying that time with them, adding them, you know, if it's a pet, you know, an extension to your family, or if you look into you know, sort of about, you know, sports and stuff like that, then it's actually enjoying the dog that you've got in front of you, and actually dealing with that rather than trying to wish they were something other than what they are, because you can't change them.
No. Yeah, exactly. And if you know what your dog likes, and you provide that, you'll enjoy your time with your dog more so.
Yeah,
you just really will.
Awesome. So we had a quick chat about this before we jumped on, but the book's already out.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Another day, another collar.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's only just out. So yeah, hopefully we'll get plenty of people to read it and enjoy it. And yeah, I enjoyed writing, and I enjoy talking to people about it as well, because I think it's reflective of everyone, not just us, not just me.
Yeah. And where can people go to get a copy?
Anywhere and everywhere.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Anywhere and everywhere. Yeah, all the usual. All roads lead to Amazon, don't they? Whether you like it or not. So I
think that's the answer. The answer that I was expecting. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Amazon and all good bookshops now. You know, give it 6 months. Charity shops, car boot sales, that kind of thing. But no, you won't have to look hard to find it.
Thank you so much.
All right, cheers, Danny. Thanks for your time.
Care. Bye. Thanks again, Steve. That was a great chat. Thanks for joining us with this episode of Positive Playtime. Again, I've been Danny from Tug-E-Nuff. Make sure that if you enjoyed this episode, that you subscribe either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast to get the next episode, which will be with you very soon. See you soon.